Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up preview show, presented as always by the DraftKings Sportsbook. My name is DJ, joined as always by my compatriots. Solly, how are you?
Wonderful, glad to be here.
Your home improvement project looking great behind you there. Love it. Neil, surrounded by many leather-bound books, looking great. How are you?
I'm in the Beluga's in the Midwest. The whale's made his way inland. He's in his uncle's office. My uncle calls it the pit.
And of course, Tron, Torrey Pines' biggest fan. Thrilled you could be here as well.
Thank you. I'm so excited for the tournament this week, but really just for the architecture. Wonderful course.
Well, let's start positive. Let's start positive. What are you excited about this week, U.S. Open week?
Man, a lot of things. I'll take the easy one, I guess, going first, and I'll say West Coast U.S. Open. I mean, West Coast Major Championship is pretty much undefeated. I think everybody enjoys settling into the couch, watching golf a little bit later. You got plenty of time to grill out. You got plenty of time to do all sorts of things. Golf on the West Coast is fantastic. Even better when it's a major. Even better when it's a U.S. Open. So I'm very excited to just be a really happy golf fan this week.
And Torrey does, it has some, faults, but it does have scenery. There is a nice element a pleasant element to watching golf at Torrey. Neil, what's got you excited this week?
A couple things for me. I would say, first off is I'm going to OD on the motorized parasailing visuals that, we're going to get on the telecast. So the guys just zooming around up there. Woo!
I don't know if they're motorized. They're motorized in Jack's Beach because there's no thermals. But these guys are riding the thermals. There's no motors.
They don't have motors on them?
No, it's all hang gliding, baby. All hang gliding.
So I'm excited about that. I'm also excited. I feel like it's a course a lot of guys have a lot of history on. I'm hoping, even though the venue isn't the most exciting, we get a showdown. I want to see a duel on the weekend. Some guys that are really comfy on this course, battling it out for a U.S. Open championship. And I'm also extremely excited to watch Xander's dad on Father's Day when Xander raises the trophy, and just the father-son relationship there, just seeing that go to the next level after a major championship.
Wow, I think I heard a pick in there. TC, what's got you excited?
Somewhat the same stuff as Neil. There's definitely horses for courses. I think it's about time for Rahm to get off the pot. Maybe Xander as well. I'd like to see either of them win. I think the Rib could be a dangerous pick this week. And I want to see the Bryson Brooks thing. Am I shallow? Am I a new age golf fan? You know what? Maybe I've gone soft, but I'm excited to just see that keep bubbling up to the surface.
I would say a combination of a lot of what you guys said. I think while Torrey is not a great venue, I don't think it's, we see it every year and it's not exciting. And now we're seeing it for a major championship. That's definitely not exciting. However, that does not mean we're not going to get a great tournament and not get some excitement. I think it's going to be a little, kind of what, I don't know. We'll talk a little bit of stuff here in a second in terms of what kind of style of play it's going to reward. I think it is going to play a little bit different than what we're used to seeing in January/February, whenever this tournament is every year. We're going to see a lot of it because there is a lot of television coverage this week. Thursday, we're going to start on the Peacock from 9:45 to 12:30.
Can't stop the cock.
And then 12:30 to 7 on Golf Channel. And then moving from 7 to 10 Eastern on NBC. Friday is very similar, except it moves, from 12:30 to 6 Eastern on Golf Channel, then 6 to 9. Real nice window there on Friday night on NBC. Saturday, 11 to 9 on NBC. That's the only day you don't have to change the channel. And then Sunday, 10 to 12 Eastern on Golf Channel, and then 12 to 8 Eastern on NBC. Is it fair? Is anybody at least a little disappointed that coverage is wrapping up a little bit early, 5 p.m. local time on Sunday? I know they got to leave a little time for the playoff, but it's kind of a little bummer, right?
We got Olympic trials.
Yeah.
Right?
This is, we can rehash a lot of the U.S. Women's Open stuff. It's basically 2 seasons worth of condensed into 1 year, right? They gotta make some adjustments. It sucks, of course, but you get why, what does NBC spend about $1 billion on the Olympics? I guess I get why they got to give that some run.
Well, and again, I'd like to just throw a shout out to Fox for signing this awful television deal that they had to get out of and sell for 30 cents on the dollar, because that's why we're going to get a lot of coverage. But I will say, I'll say it every year probably. We're going to miss them. I have not heard any new bells and whistles, innovations, or anything that NBC plans to bring to this telecast.
On the contrary, I heard that NBC has the full complement, and Tommy Roy's pumped for this year. Versus, I guess on the broadcast call the other day, I guess they were a little hamstrung last year, but they're back netted up to, full complement of features and cameras and everything like that.
Which I think is going to look pretty similar to what we see on the PGA Tour week to week is my issue, right? Fox would come in every year and just like throw a 12-6 curveball, just buckle everybody's knees and do something different, some kind of innovation every year. And I worry it's going to feel a little bit like watching a tour event, but look, we'll see. We'll find out.
Brown suit that one year.
That's right.
That was the biggest curveball.
They lost the suit. The USGA lost the suit. Well, let's get into a little bit of Torrey. I know we probably spend the beginning of every Farmers Insurance recap pod talking about, I feel like there's a new crop of people that come in every year that, maybe are new to the podcast and just say like, well, I don't get it. What don't you like about Torrey? It's beautiful. It's a municipal course. It's, blah, blah, blah. TC, tell us what you don't have to tell people what to think. Tell me what you think though, about Torrey Pines and the way it plays for professionals.
Yeah. And maybe this is morphed into some hipster thing because it's like a trendy thing, but I don't know. It's just not I guess they've moved a couple of the fairways closer to the cliffs, but for such a spectacular piece of land that plays, along and over and through so many different little canyons and features, it feels like Firestone on the Pacific Ocean to me, which, like we played Sandpiper a few years ago up the coast in Santa Barbara. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, it's just this kind of just flat, unimaginative. It doesn't really have any soul, or like there's nothing cool on the ground, right? You've got the views and but they've spent an ungodly amount of money fixing the irrigation, fixing some of the, I guess the turf conditions are a lot better this year versus 2008. But it just seems like it's throwing good money after bad. And I get the lovable elements of, the paragliders and the fact that local San Diego residents can pay $75 and play it, but it just doesn't stir anything within me, I think. I also get frustrated when I look at picks or I look at a field and I think there's 20% of the field can win this versus a lot of tournaments, 60, 70% of the field can win this. And, maybe that yields better finishes or better leaderboards here and there, because the big names do rise to the top. But in a certain sense, that feels almost a little bit, it just doesn't feel as natural or doesn't feel as organic like that.
It feels weird to not have the mystery of a golf course for a major. I mean, obviously Augusta's the same one every year, but there's always like Kiowa. I mean, it played like this 9 years ago. I don't know. It kind of may fit this, but like something you see every year and then just kind of tweaked a little bit and playing a little different at a different time of year just doesn't have the same kind of excitement, especially when it's not one of the great stops on the PGA Tour calendar.
I did think Pebble had a little bit of that a couple years ago. It was fun to see the difference between how it plays in February and how it played, in June. But I'm with you. Torrey Pines is not Pebble. I think for me, Torrey Pines, a lot of it is I don't know if it's repetition or I don't know if it's kind of lack of imagination, but it is, having been there a couple times, it's one of the coolest places in the world to walk around. Like it would be one of the most unbelievable public parks in the world. But as a golf course, like it's kind of just the same thing over and over. There's a couple holes that use the use the coastline, but the rest of it is kind of you feel like you're playing golf. It could be 100 yards from the coastline. It could be 2 miles from the coastline. Like there's nothing in between you and the coast, but it also, you feel weirdly disconnected from it, if that makes sense. And thinking back on, I don't know how golf courses are routed or how these decisions get made or any of that stuff, but think about when we were at a place like Sheep Ranch this past year for Tourist Sauce, and there's holes going at the coast, there's holes going along the coast, there's holes going away from the coast, like the coast is a factor like 13 different ways, 13 different times. And at Torrey Pines, you get there and it's like, man, number 3, like what a beautiful shot down to the coast. Man, number 4, unbelievable, man, right on the cliff. I can't tell you anything about any other hole. I know 18 has a pond left of it, but yeah, I don't know. Don't hit it in the rough. That's pretty much like I've been there and I've walked all the holes a number of times, and like that's kind of all I can tell you about it. So
Like people
maybe
say
that's
that-
a me problem, but it seems like a lot of other people have that problem too.
people say that about Pebble sometimes, where they say, hey, if you drop this, if it wasn't next to the Pacific, but it is next to the Pacific, and it utilizes that coastline, right?
Yeah. People say that, or you say that?
I say that. But like I'm giving Pebble a compliment.
I know, that's why I'm so shocked. I'm just I heard the boomerang whizzing by my ear there.
But
I love to hear it. Sorry, I welcome it. I welcome it.
Yeah, and then I don't know, like just all the money that they've poured in. They spent what, $20 million here recently redoing it. They spent an inordinate amount of money before the last U.S. Open redoing it with Reese Jones, and I feel like the greens are just like, there's just nothing interesting about the greens, and
there's nothing
right?
interesting about the tee to green test either. It's kind of the same test for 18 holes. It's not testing a variety of skills. Even going back to Olympic Club, and I had issues with setup at Olympic Club, but like it was ball below your feet lie. Can you draw one against this slope and use this? Can you hold a green, go into an elevated green? Can you hit this downhill shot? Can you, hit this shot out of the rough and hold this green over that bunker and that kind of stuff? And it is none of that. Like there's just no creativity. There's no
not even dog legs.
No, there's not even like memorable golf shots out there. Like
That's what I'm saying. Unbelievable place to play Frisbee.
Sure.
Unbelievable. But
the only
variety of golf holes, not so much.
I agree with pretty much everything I'm hearing. The one thing that hurts too this year is that it's going to be a thick rough fest again, similar to Winged Foot, which is a little bit. I'd like to see. I know you guys are talking about it after the with Randy after the Women's Open, how they get a little bit of a diversity to like, that there's a place for that, like bomb it long and hack it out of the rough type of Open. I just wish maybe this year we had more of an Aaron Hills or something that had a different look, or even Chambers Bay. Like you got a little bit of a mix up, but Winged Foot last year, I feel like it's going to be that a little bit on repeat.
Or if you do that, like go all in on that. Like I saw a picture of Ben Hogan at Olympic from
Oh my God, I
back
saw
in the
that too.
day, and the rough is like up above his knees, and
It
like
looks like he was going to pick up ticks.
if they want to do that every 5 years or so, like once every 5 years, and just make it completely impossible, like that's sick. But like just doing this kind of boring, like the rough's going to be thick and like it just doesn't. It's just not interesting golf, right?
No, that's why like you can have a good leaderboard, and it probably will be one, and it probably will be close and probably be exciting. And yet the golf that gets you there can still be really boring. And that's what I'm afraid of, honestly, going into this week. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see how that's going to be wrong, because we've seen Torrey a lot of times and it's always plays that way. Greens are going to be a little more firm. Balls will roll through them, but they'll stop right there in the rough that's grown up right next to the greens, the rough that sits between the bunkers and the green, and the very circular greens that just don't inspire a lot. So,
well, we'll see a lot of those little choppy chip shots out of the,
so much fun to watch on repeat.
That Pebble we saw, I was like, oh man, like it just makes me anxious to watch that.
I think what kind of it's tough. It's an unfair comparison, I know, because Augusta is Augusta and Torrey Pines is Torrey Pines. But think about all of the different shots you can remember from Augusta National on all the different holes from all the different years. And outside of Tiger Woods 2008 US Open, like we see Torrey Pines every year. Name a couple like memorable shots that weren't on the 18th hole. I can remember Rahm's eagle putt on 18. I remember a couple wedges that came, Kyle Stanley that overspun a wedge into 18. But like, other than that, man, I mean, I watch it every year and I just don't remember any of it on anything. And I think that is an oversimplification, but that
Patrick Reed had a great chip shot left of 10 this year. I don't know if you remember that happening, but it was really good.
That's right. People will remember that one, I'm sure. But you know what I mean? Like that's an oversimplification, but it's kind of a good litmus test, I feel like, for remembering the memorability.
Is even just so vanilla, right? It's just they all look the same. They all look like any public course you played that was built between 1970 and 2010 that Reese Jones had a hand in. Like, it's the exact same look, just plopped down on this spectacular, kind of like tabletop cliffside. And I know the Coastal Commission would never let them move some of these holes closer to the cliff or whatever, but man, it just feels like such a waste.
Well, let's get into some of the storylines here. And I'm well aware that we're recording this on Monday evening. And by the time this is published, I would have to imagine, because this happens to us every time we just talk about the number one storyline, the news will be out on what the pairings will be. Brooks and Bryson, a lot of anticipation as to whether or not it's going to happen. Joe Klein 41 asked, as much as we'd all love to see it, is it really fair to Brooks and Bryson to pair them together at this point? We all know they'd be doing it, and crowds would be insane. I can't believe I'm asking if something is fair to Bryson. So one, should they pair them together? I think it's a rather easy question, but let's go ahead and address that. And I'm sure people will, as you're listening to it, you already know whether or not they're going to be paired. I don't think they'll do it, but what do you guys think?
Hell yeah, it's fair. They created this monster themselves.
Buckets. Yeah, they're dying for this attention.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Joe. I'm like, I guess I'm stuck between like, do I want to watch it? Yes. Do I think it's like totally the right thing to do in the spirit of hosting the most fair competition ever? Like, I don't really know. And then you get to like, okay, well, which one of those two things should matter more, right? And if the answer is like the entertainment product, then yeah, hell yeah, put them together. But if if the USGA feels the answer is the latter, then I guess I would understand why they don't do it. So that's a total cop-out answer, but does that make sense? Is that off base?
I think it does. I honestly think that it's less of a big deal if everybody yells, "Come on, Brooksy," at Bryson if they're in the same group. I think it's super annoying if they're not paired together, but it's kind of just like Bryson can treat it like a true away game situation. And, they're cheering for the guy right next to you and not for you. He has a chance to take it personally and go out there and go win another US Open. So I do not think it's unfair in any way. I do think I still am in the camp that Brooks riling up people to yell stuff is just lame and kind of like outsourcing your fight. But it kind of threw a little cold water on their back and forth for my sake, just from my entertainment standpoint. But absolutely, they should. They probably won't. I have a feeling that it getting pushed a little bit 2 weeks ago at the Memorial will be what causes them to not do it. If they don't do it, that would be why, and I don't think they'll do it. So, unfortunately, I think we're going to lose out there.
You need to give Bryson a chance to stand up to the bully, though. I think the USGA would be doing him a favor.
I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah, I'm not afraid. Let him face his demons a little bit.
Can we just do this one heads up? I mean, I know DraftKings will have this week, but the Brooks
it already.
Yeah, they already did. It is boosted. I am in Illinois, by the way, so I'm gonna be dropping bets like crazy, I'm sure. So I'm very interested in all the boosts. Bryson Brooks, the heads up match. Who are you taking? I think they have Bryson as a slight underdog right now.
You're going to see in my picks here later as to why, but I'm going to go with Bryson. I think that I kicked myself for not taking him at Wingfoot last year with how that played into a Bomber's Paradise, and everything is standing up, looking to be the exact same. The longer hitters have always favored well here, and there's going to be thick rough. So why not believe Bryson won't do it, or will do it? Won't do it. I think Bryson's going to win. So
yeah, I would take Bryson too. I mean, Tron was reading off Brooks's results this year. I mean, it's like miscut, second, win, miscut, second, miscut, second. So it's just hard to, I don't know. It's hard to like bet on that, like inconsistency.
But I'm not, this is the first major where I'm not falling into the Koepka trap and forgetting about picking him. Cause I do it every week.
I know that's right.
Every time. And I'm just finally going to do it. Like so I don't have to kick myself either.
I think I got Brooks. They're like not to win, but I got Brooks to beat Bryson.
I took Bryson. Same reasons as you, Solly. I mean, it's just, Brooks is coming off a miscut, and Bryson's, been Mr. like thick rough equals trophies. So
Mr. Thick Boy plus thick rough equals trophies.
Exactly.
Equals thick trophies.
John Rahm is the favorite. Should he be the favorite?
I think so. I think we kind of talked about this. I don't know if this was going into the PGA or what, but there's so many thoroughbreds right now. It feels like there's a lot of parity and a lot of thoroughbreds, if that makes sense. Like nobody has really stood out as,
There's
I think
parity amongst the thoroughbreds.
Yeah, I think that, yes, that's what I was trying to say. I think that, it stood out when we were kind of trying to say, like, is Spieth the best player in the world right now? And a question that would sound fairly ridiculous for a guy who's only won the Valero Texas Open in the last, 2.5, 3 years, actually sounds kind of realistic because nobody's really totally separated themselves. And Rahm has been wildly consistent. Basically he's coming off a victory, of course, at the Memorial, and has had a monstrosity of a record here. So yeah, I think it makes sense.
I agree.
Yeah,
Neil,
I would say there's a lot of pressure though. Like he just had a lot swirling around him. So I wonder if I don't know if that doesn't seem to factor into the models though.
Probably been watching Netflix for the last 10 days though.
That's what I was going to say. He seems like a guy that would just be sitting in the room going absolutely stir crazy.
He's got God mode now too.
Exactly. Yeah. It could be.
Maybe it takes a load off his mind.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, he could win by 14 this week. Who knows?
So the Brandy's not here to help us with the actual home game models, but the hometown hype seems to be very real for Xander. And if I may have heard an insinuation from a certain mammal. Are whales mammals? They are, right?
They are.
Yes.
A certain mammal in the top right corner here. What are your Xander thoughts?
I just think, I'm worried about him going the Finau route, and I don't want him to do that. I don't want him to fall in with the wrong crowd. And he's just got way too much game. He plays well at Torrey. I just think I feel good about him breaking through. I think the hype is worth it. He's just so consistently in the top 10 at some point, kind of your argument with Finau, Solly, like it's got like you keep putting yourself in that position, you're going to break through at some point, and he just has all the game for it. So I kind of picked him and Cantlay at the beginning of the season as two of my horses, and Cantlay got one at the Memorial, kind of with an asterisk. And so I think he's up next. He sees the other guy in the Beluga stable doing well. He wants to do well for the Beluga. So, go win one for the Beluga. That's what I have to say to that.
Can just going down the odds sheet here, can Rory return from the dead at a place like Torrey Pines, TC?
I mean, I would love him to, but I guess, and he's such a good driver of the golf ball. You would think a place like this would suit him. I don't think it's ever really jived with his early season schedule, right? Because he typically plays in the Middle East relatively early in the season. But in this, I think is typically against or Farmers is typically against Abu Dhabi or Dubai. So I don't think like lack of record, I don't think is necessarily a negative against Rory. It's just more like, he doesn't have as much experience on this course versus others. I just can't trust him. I just can't trust him. Like I like the guy, I respect the guy. I just can't trust him right now. He needs to give me a reason to trust him. And I'm kind of getting that way with Dustin a little bit too.
I was going to just jump in and say that same thing, Tron, is DJ, can't trust him right now. Totally.
The difference,
very similar.
The difference though is, I mean, Dustin has won one, in the last 7 years. Rory hasn't. And like that's Randy's deep on this block too, but like, yeah, we probably should, or maybe this was Solly that was saying this a couple weeks ago, but I mean, truly nobody loves Rory more than me. Like, I mean, he's the best. I would pick him to win if I could see anybody win this week. But like, yeah, we probably should treat him like a guy that hasn't won a major in 7 years. It
kind of reset. It should be like an OWGR thing. Like it kind of ages, right? I mean,
and
Patrick Harrington's won 3, and he's not a favorite, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right,
it's aged out. So
Shane Lowry's won a major like very recently.
Yeah,
I will say Rory's true strokes gained at Torrey Pines in 9 rounds is plus 2.46, which is 4th best of anyone in the field. And that's slightly better than expectation for him. So his run at Torrey has been better than most, if you will.
That's what I was going to say is, again, I'm probably speaking on my ass, but like, is Torrey Pines a place where you need, I don't think it's course knowledge that is why these guys play well. I think it's because they fit the mold.
It fits the play. Yeah.
Right?
So that's always been a place
Rory,
where
I'm not worried about him not having played there. Like I think everything he's going to fit the mold of what the champion is going to look like. It's just a matter of whether he drives it well and makes some putts or not.
What sucks about Torrey is for tour golf, it is narrow fairways, but you can miss wide, and you're not punished exponentially for missing wide. The corridors,
leash.
yes, the corridors are enormous, and that's why Tiger was always able to succeed here. Like he could drive it far enough down there where he could hit wedges and stuff out of the rough and hold the greens. And it's not a driving contest. It's hit it far, and that kind of stinks. Where Rory's driving accuracy skills kind of even mitigated a little bit in that regard. But
I do feel the green, they're pretty big greens, and it's like greens within greens, right? So there's different, like if guys are hitting their spots, they get, good looks at it. But if guys are not hitting their spots or they're trying to recover, they can still get it on the green. And I think like one skill I think that makes sense at Torrey is like good lag putting, right? Because you're gonna have some long putts, especially if you're trying to recover from a bad angle or something like that. Not that angles are mattering all that much out here because it's relatively straight, but I do think there's a little bit of you've got some 50, 60, 70 foot putts out there.
Shout out to Dustin, the best lag putter on earth.
Yeah.
Let's go around and everyone make your pick to not win. Of course, the DJ Pie /Solly / Big Randy Memorial. You have to pick a player that is at or near the top of the favorites list to not win the tournament. And also your pick to win regardless of odds. And I'll kick things off and say, I'm going to pick Bryson to win, and I'm going to pick DJ to not win. DJ?
I'll lean right into it. What the hell? I'm probably going to end up with a bullet hole in my forehead here, but I'll go with Bryson to win and Brooks to not win.
Oh, yeah. TC?
I'm going with Bryson to not win, and I'm going with Victor Hovland to win.
I love that.
Like that. Neil?
Interesting. I've got DJ, not this DJ, but Dustin Johnson not to win, and I'm picking Xander to win this week.
Love it. Well, we're going to get to our picks here in a second. We're going to do two things before we do that. One is we're going to welcome in Big T.
Big T.
He is a DraftKings millionaire. This was our idea. We wanted to bring someone on. If you guys haven't been able to tell on the picks, 4 of the 5, I don't want to say of us, there's 4 people of the 5 no laying up guys that are in the negative. Currently in the
Talk
negative.
to us at the end of the season.
And some of that's due to sanctions and such. It's not due to my actual plays.
Just sanctions of you actually making you keep your score accurately. So we're going to bring in Big T to talk a little bit about how he comes up with picks for fantasy golf, for bets, for outright bets. He won he won $1 million at the Players Championship with his DraftKings lineup.
$1 million.
It's a jump to conclusions.
So we thought it'd be. We're obviously just slinging stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. We thought to talk to an actual guy.
Speak for yourself.
Speak
for yourself on that.
You guys, I'm speaking for you guys. I'm not speaking for myself at all. But
I almost won a 29-1 last week.
How'd that pay out? How does that pay out?
Harrison just shit his pants.
Almost as in you just would almost entered the winning total in your winning column instead of
almost won the tournament.
We've had so many foul tips.
I almost misplaced a decimal point in my results.
Oh no. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys about the DraftKings Championship Series. So it's the top live and online competition series. If you're looking to get some kind of skin in the game, we're going to be playing a bunch of these this week. We're not going to go through all of our picks for that. It's the 2021-22 season is comprised of over 100 contests across 3 DraftKings verticals. It's the daily fantasy sports, there's sports betting, and there's casino games. And each of the contests awards cash prizes. We talked about one of the 100 millionaires they're minting, which is Big T. And it gives you a qualifying ticket to the end of the season Tournament of Champions. They got the championship series season includes fantasy golf, fantasy basketball, fantasy football, fantasy pick'em, sports betting, national championship, and more. It's just extremely interactive, it's a very competitive. Neil, how would you describe it? I always struggle to describe it.
It's nice to have some skin in the game. Yes. Like I kind of wanted to resist the daily fantasy stuff for a while, but I did it during the Masters and I really enjoyed it. It's nice to follow along with, 4, 5, 6 guys you pick for your lineup. And, you got to have some value plays in there. TC, I know you love value. And you got to have some horses in there. So, Big T, I could use a few pointers from him. So I'm was excited to talk to him.
I would say also the idea of potentially winning $1 million adds some juice as well.
For sure.
I had way too much fun doing it during the Masters.
And so there's 3 championship series events for the US Open. There's the Fantasy Golf Millionaire, which is a $10 entry. It's the most accessible price point. There's the Fantasy Golf Millionaire, the $100 entry, and then the Mega Million Dollar, the $4,444 entry, which, listen, that's out of my price range, but some of our listeners, that might not be. So head over to the DraftKings Fantasy app. If that's not for you, the DraftKings Sportsbook has, of course, many options, which we're going to cover once we get back from our interview here with Big T.
Big T, how are you?
I'm excited to come on, and it's a big week of golf. So I think everyone's excited for the U.S. Open, all the best players, some trash talk between a couple of the big names. I'm excited. I'm excited for the weekend to hop on with you guys.
So what about this week, though? Who's a gut feel if you had like a top 3 to 5 players that you like?
So I'm always a Bryson guy, which is kind of contrarian, I think, because everyone else is kind of off of him, especially in the top. When you look at all the top guys, he's just where I go to right away. And it's funny because this week, as far as the stud guys at the top, I think it's Brooks and Bryson for me, just looking at it. And it's just funny. They've got their little rivalry going where everyone knows about it at this point, but kind of going back and forth. And the course shapes up for them the best too. I mean, maybe Rahm you could throw in that bucket too. But like Spieth and DJ, these guys at the top, I don't like them as much as Bryson and Brooks. So that's kind of where I like at the top. And then as you go down, I mean, there's some guys that I think stick out a little bit that might not pop for other people. Like Justin Rose has looked pretty good in majors to me. I know he's had really bad form the last, year and a half, but it looks to be turning around, and you can still get him. 50-1 or something as far as win odds. I think he sticks off the page a little bit. We've seen him win in the past. I think he's a sneaky play this week.
What's it like winning $1 million kind of watching other people play a sport? And what I'm going for here is you are out of control of the situation. You know, it's not like you're playing in the sport and you can decide if a made putt makes you $1 million or not. What was that like at the Players Championship, having that much on the line?
It's crazy, too, because I had some really good teams that day, and it came down to Bryson for the most part. And I'm sure you guys remember from watching it, but I don't know the whole where he chunked the ball. He totally topped the ball off the tee, somehow made double after he hit it in the woods, his second shot or third shot, I guess, after he takes a drop or whatever happened. But you feel helpless for sure because these guys are the best in the world. You definitely feel helpless, but it's a fun feeling. One of my buddies, Head Chopper, lost $1 million on the 3-putt from DJ at the U.S. Open, whatever year that was.
Oh,
not sure if you guys remember. Yeah, but
yeah.
DJ
we remember
2 putts, he wins $1 million. He 3 putts, and he only wins like $100K. So it's a $900K swing.
If you're looking at, golf plays, right? You can make outright bets. You can do top 5s, top 10s, top 20s, made cuts, missed cuts, all kinds of props. Anything there, any of those like buckets that sticks out to you most? We're still trying to figure out like where you should be allocating outright winners. I love me some top 20 plays. Some would say I'm dodging the pouch of misery when I do that. But where do you net out on all that?
For me, all I really do is outrights. I like the matchups. I usually dabble pretty hard in the matchups. Outrights, I don't really do all that much top 5s, top 10s, top 20s. Just because I have so much action and other stuff that I start spreading myself too thin if I do too much. The only time I'll do those is if I just love a guy that's maybe undervalued and kind of just take him in everything, take him in the matchups, top 5, top 10, top 20, kind of maybe go a little bit lower on some of the units and just pound the certain guy. But for the most part, it's just outrights in matchups for me for the most part. Yeah, I pick a few guys I like. I mean, usually I try to keep my player pool DFS-wise to 30 to 40 people in that range, which, what's that, 20 to 25% of the field, which sounds like a lot. But for 150 teams, I definitely have the least amount of people probably of almost anybody.
You play 150 teams a week?
Yeah, because that's the max you can put in these tournaments, and you just run all the different combinations and stuff. So, yeah, it's not as many as you think, though, when one of your key guys misses and all of a sudden half your teams are gone because Bryson takes a 10 hitting an OB or something.
Is that why everyone's tweeting mean things at the players when they miss the cut?
Yeah, people, that's ridiculous. That's a whole another topic, but it is. I like when the players have started chirping back at them a little bit, though. That makes it fun.
What about a young buck? You said Justin Rose, Bryson Brooks, established guys. You got anybody down in the in value land that you like? That's young and up and comer.
The one value guy I love that always comes through for me that probably won't win, but it should do well, I think, is Harmon. He always comes through. He always plays well. I don't know if he can win a U.S. Open. He might not have the length, but I think he can be in contention. Let me find a young buck down here.
He finished runner-up in 2017 at Aaron Hills to Koepka. I mean, and he was on your team at the Players, which is what –
he just always plays well. Like, I swear that guy is always just in the mix, and he gives you that cut equity where his chances of making the cut – I don't have any numbers to back this up. Again, I'm a field player, but I feel like he always makes the cut. He's always at least in the ball game, which is what you want, right? If you got a sweat, you at least want a chance on Sunday. I got a guy 150 to 1, it looks like right now. Matt Wallace. He's always a big event guy. I think he could win the thing too. I think he's got a little bit of win equity. If the conditions get even harder, which I mean, they're always going to play hard at the U.S. Open.
He broke my heart at the Masters. I had him to be a top 4 Englishman, and he just melted down on the back 9 Sunday.
Yeah, he definitely fell apart. He's going to make it up for us this week, though.
Yeah. All right. Good. That's, what? I'm happy you pointed that out because I was looking at him again this week. So I'm taking notes over here, Big T. I like this.
Well, let's play out. We'll get you out of here on this. Of course, this is not for me being the leader by far amongst the 5 of us. I don't really need any of this, but if you're giving betting golf handicapping advice in simplest terms, how would you, what would your advice be?
As far as not picks, just as far as what to do?
Picks. Yeah, picks or strategy in general. No, in general, just overall strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say everyone loves weeks like this, the U.S. Open. Don't overextend yourself. As a gambler myself, I want to fire at everything. I want to bet 1 million outrights. I want to bet 1 million matchups, DFS on top of it. Just don't overextend yourself because you're excited. I mean, you're always going to like going into the tournament, but you never know how it's going to work out.
Thanks for joining us, Big T. Appreciate it. Good luck this week.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Neil, bringing up the rear here of the 4 of us. Why don't you take us through your picks?
Well, I got a couple of tips from Big T and I were on the same page about a couple of things. So yeah, here it is this week. We're going Xander to win, plus 1,500, 40 nuggies. We're going Patrick Cantlay, top 5, plus 400. I feel like this course fits him pretty well. Clearly, he's playing good golf right now, so that's exciting. Home game models off the charts. Max Homa, top 20, plus 275, 40 nuggies there. And then we're going with a couple of top English bloke plays. We're going Matt Wallace to finish in the top 4 of English blokes. That's plus 280 for 40 nuggies. Shout out to Big T for that one.
I like that a lot.
And Ian Poulter to finish in the top 4 English blokes, plus 280, 40 nuggies. There you have it, boys.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just truly Data Golf picked threw out Ian Poulter as one of the worst course fits for Torrey Pines.
Really?
Hell yeah.
I love that pick though. I really love bucking the trip.
I feel like he's been playing really good golf the last month, 2 months. I feel like I keep seeing him up at the top of the board. So I mean, to get in the top 4, like I feel. You're
talking to the guy who laughed at Randy's pick to win the PGA or to top 40 at the PGA, which was Phil. So DJ, what do you got?
Well, I'm starting, I already tipped my hand on this one, but just a very simple parlay. We are going Bryson over Brooks. I'm sure there will be nothing to regret on that one. And I'm also going, I got this guy in a couple plays. Solly, we got to see him up close at Colonial a couple weeks ago. Jason Kokrak over Harris English, who, is potentially flushing it. He was flushing it, then he stopped flushing it. He might be flushing it again, but Jason Kokrak over Harris English, that's plus 231 to parlay those 2 matchups. I'll go 40 nuggets there. We're going John Rahm to win. I already spoke to that. I know that's kind of boring picking the tournament favorite, but hey, they're favorite for a reason. Plus 1050, 45 nuggets on that. Let's circle back, push a couple more chips in on Jason Kokrak to top 20, plus 188. That's 45 nuggets there. I've got Saul, you'll love this one. Tony Finau, top 4 Americans. Just a completely pointless victory there, but that really feels like good stuff. Plus 350. I love that, actually. Top 4 Americans plus 350. 60 nuggets on that. And then we will do just a straight forecast, just because I'm like Big T, man. I need a really big hit, a big dopamine hit. I
need a big win.
I need a real big win. Rahm first, Bryson second. Straight forecast plus 16,500. We'll throw 10 little nuggies on that.
Sheesh.
Why not? Why not? I feel better this week than I usually do. I haven't
a little exacta for the kid. Just sprinkle it in there.
I haven't won a golf bet in like a month. The only bets I've won have been F1, tennis. Shout out to Djokovic. Told you guys he was
big win by Djokovic. He battled his tees off for that win.
So I'd love to win some golf bets. Would be fun.
TC, I would ask what do you got cooked up, but we know it's going to be simple and straightforward. You're banned from parlays and Heinz's.
Kitchen's closed. I just have a hot plate and a microwave over here. All my oven, my stove, my fridge, everything's gone. For those that don't know, I'm barred from making any sort of parlays, Heinz's, anything like that. So I can't really dip into the matchups too much. Before I get to my plays, I do have a question for you guys.
No.
Nobody's mentioned JT one time.
That's a great point.
And
I almost picked him as my guy not to win.
He's not a super straight driver of the golf ball, but kind of like you said, Sally, like it's, guys are going to spray it either way. It's just a matter of like, he's really, really long, right?
There's just so many guys at the top that are like, it's neck and neck up there. It's a flavor of the week thing.
He feels like one of the kind of like Rory, right? Like he feels like the guy that absolutely will fit the mold. Like the bouncers waving him in. He's one of the 20 guys that can compete, but it just, I don't know, man. It just hasn't been there in the majors. Until it is, it's hard to go with him.
I struggle with the guys that are skipping this event every year. Like if that's not the course, if he loved Torrey and how that played for him, he would be there, but he's played 4 rounds at Torrey Pines. And so that's kind of where I'm at with JT.
That's fair. Just wanted to ask the question, guys.
That's fair. You're a journalist.
Yeah. Deej, you've never had a problem going with the heavy betting favorite. I'm going to do that this week. John Rahm to win.
Love that.
50 on that. I got 50 on Big Tone, 20 on Big Tone.
Big T.
100 to win. My pick to win it all, Victor Hovland plus 2,800. Got 50 on that. And then I'm just going to burn some money like I normally do on Tommy Fleetwood. Top 20 plus 250 for 40. And Big Leash top 20 plus 240 for 40. He's hitting it well right now. Just a matter of, like if he can kind of just do what he does at Torrey, which is
TC.
Good thing you couldn't do matchups, actually, because I believe it was Sophie's choice for you, Fleetwood versus Leishman.
It was.
It's nice to see you back to the basics, TC. I think we're seeing some perspective from you after your issues with the law.
Well, it's just 6 continuous months of employment. I think will do you. That'll do you really well.
It's a work release program for TC.
Give you some structure.
Yeah, he's peeing in a cup for us.
I don't even know how I have so much time to make these picks. I usually am so crammed by the end of this show. But TC, I'm going to one-up you a little bit on my confidence in Mark Leishman because I'm taking him to top 10, 40 nuggets plus 600. Not dissimilar to your play that you made during the Masters, which I believe worked out very well for you. As we've noted, he loves Torrey Pines. I mentioned I'm going to bet on Brooks for like the first time ever in a major. Top 10 plus 175. I'm moving 75 nuggets in on that one. That feels fantastic. Will Zalatoris, we haven't talked about him. He hits it far enough, I think, to contend at Torrey. And a top 5 for him pays plus 800. So 35 nuggets on that one. Another winner that we haven't really talked about much in this show so far. 20 nuggets on Colin Morikawa plus 25.50.
I was waiting to see if somebody was going to bring him up.
Yeah.
He like.
So something really like 14 of the 18 greens favor a fade coming into it. And that guy fades it better than anyone. Well, just saying. And then lastly,
golf shops to check out. Maybe find a new putter, Carl's Golf Land or something like that down in Southern California.
Discount Dan's. He could buy it online.
And then lastly, of course, 30 nuggets plus 1,500 on Bryson to win the United States Open Championship in back-to-back years. It would be sick if Brooks won back-to-back, and now if Bryson had back-to-back, that'd be be pretty interesting. So, all right, let's throw it over first. We're going to get Big Randy's picks in. And I believe he's got a debt to pay, a pouch of misery to pay.
One of three, right?
One of three. Yes. So
if you're listening to this on the podcast, after Big Randy, you will hear an interview we did with Akshay Bhatia, who has qualified for the U.S. Open as a 19-year-old. And we chatted. He was on the pod a couple years ago. Good to talk with him again to kind of see how the last couple years have gone for him and what he's learned in pro golf. So look forward to watching him compete this week. And otherwise, everyone enjoy a tremendous major week. We'll be doing live shows after every round, as we usually do. And those will be up on the podcast feed. You can watch them on YouTube. You can watch them live on Twitter as well. And I think that covers everything.
Guys, one last question. Make or miss cut for Philip Alfred Mickelson?
Miss.
I think miss.
I'll say make. What the hell? I think he's going to miss, but I'll say make for variety's sake.
I'm saying miss too. So
that'll balance out my pick, when I said he wasn't going to top 40 at Kiowa. So, all right, Big Randy, pay your debt, and then Akshay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey guys, Randy here. To say it's been a bad few weeks would be an understatement. The truth is, it's been a bad year. I owe 3 pouches today. The guys have magnanimously allowed me to wipe the slate clean with 1 pouch punishment. So more on that after my picks. Let's get right into them. 200 nuggies. If I said I liked any of them, I'd be lying, but we'll fire away just the same. First parlay, all right? 3 matchups. Phil over Rose, Cantlay over Finau, DJ over Rahm. 50 nuggies plus 729 on that parlay. A couple nationality plays. I'm a sucker for those. Garrick Higo, top South African, plus 350, 25 nuggies. And then Matthew Fitzpatrick, top 4, Britain and Ireland, plus 130, 25 nuggies there. Is it pouch dodging? Hell no, it's not pouch dodging. Okay, I'm living in it. All right, I'm not dodging anything. 2 winner plays to round things out. Rory, plus 2,000. If they're going to give me, 20-1 odds, I'm taking them every time. 50 nuggies. Is he dead? Yeah, he's dead. All right. But one of these days, a seance is going to be performed and he's going to rise. And I feel like it could be Torrey. Maybe some Tiger vibes. Who knows? Other one, Colin Morikawa, plus 2,500, 50 nuggies there. He's won 1 major in California already. I think he could make it 2. Exquisite iron player, whiffs of a home game. You never know. But a couple of premier ball strikers, especially when they're on. So we'll see.